This is High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1.
That's right. We're staying alive here on this Saturday, August the 17th, the year 2019. Hope everyone's enjoying their summer and their Saturday. With the coach, Ed Young, I am Matt Hatfield, and at this time, Ed, we got a special guest with us. He is the head football coach of the Kellum Knights. He's been since 1999. They have arguably the best field in the whole area, and one of our favorites, we say good morning to Coach Chris DeWitt. Coach, how's the summer treating you and the Knights?
It's been treating us good. How you guys doing?
We're doing well.
We're doing well, Chris. I was just wondering why Matt played "Staying Alive."
Well, Alex played it. It wasn't Matt.
Well, but is that one of Chris DeWitt's favorite songs? Is there a reminder?
No, it's not. It's probably because they wonder how I'm still alive after all these years.
That might be. That's what I was kind of thinking. Because if I'm not mistaken, you're the longest tenured football coach in the Beach.
In the Beach, yes. Yeah. I mean, at our particular school. Yeah, right. At the particular school where we're at right now.
Okay.
I think, in fact, on the south side, I mean, obviously Mike Smith's coming up on year 50. Well, I think you guys scrimmage coming up here soon, right, at Hampton?
Right. Yeah, we got a scrimmage with them next week.
Next week, and Hank Sawyer and you both got in the same year in 1999. And who would have thought? Did you think 20 years ago you'd still be at Kellum?
Who'd have thought that? I mean, nothing. But no, actually, Hank Sawyer and I actually got hired on the same exact day.
Did you really?
And the Virginia Pilot, when they wrote the story, it was kind of included both of us. So it was that's kind of an interesting twist. That was a pretty good day for longevity, I guess.
Now, Coach, before we get into your team and everything, I got to know something. I heard through the grapevine that you did a bang-up job on the coaches' luncheon. You were the top guy. You had guys laughing left and right. But I got to hear the story about John White, good friend of mine at Bayside. It's something about the band.
Oh, he denies it.
Yeah, because John said he never was in no band. He's not a band performer. So what's the deal?
You know what? I think I got him confused with another kid, Big John Dunn, that ended up going on. I think he went on and played at Tallwood High School.
Yeah.
And then he had played at Virginia Tech, and then I think he was with the Cleveland Browns for a little while. And if I remember correctly, John Dunn was the guy that was in the band when I first noticed this giant kid walking around the halls of Bayside Middle School. But John and John, I just got him confused, I guess. But old John White just gets so upset about me telling the story that I found him in the band, and I mean, nothing. But he likes to bring that story up as much as I like to tell it, So John's a good-natured guy.
Well, do you have another John White story you could share, or since we're public, you can't?
I mean, I did coach John when he was younger, and the joke we talked about, he made a comment about him wearing contacts now, and he used to wear glasses, but they were some pretty thick glasses when he was a young man. And, they were big old glasses. I mean, it's just, John does an outstanding job at Bayside. So,
yes.
everything I would say is always in good nature. I'm so proud of the man that he's become, being part of that little storyline that I was one of the guys that coached him when he was a real young man. And to watch where he's ended up, or and to know where he was. I mean, it's a great story, and he does a great job at Bayside. I think he does those kids over there a great service.
All right, so we've cleared up the mystery. So as far as we know, John White was not discovered playing the tuba in the band.
He was not. I believe that was actually John Dunn, who went off and played in the NFL for a little while, to tell you the truth.
That's a good scouting on your part. You picked an NFL player out of the band, Coach. That's pretty doggone good.
Yeah, well, it's not hard to pick a guy out who's 14 years old and he's 6'5".
Yeah, that makes it easier.
75 pounds. So, yeah.
Well, let's look at this year's current cast of the Kellum Knights with Chris DeWitt here, our guest on High School Sports Talk, brought to you by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. I know you guys scrimmaged Wilson last night out of Portsmouth, and you got some pretty impressive players from what I saw in the offseason, Coach. I know Damian Mazzell, quarterback, also plays some wide receiver, and then the Copeland brothers. Tell everybody about them because they're a pretty tough combination.
Oh yeah, we've got a pretty good nucleus coming back. I mean, you can start anywhere you want. I mean, if you want to start with the Copeland brothers, Kobe's going into his senior year, and he's going to be playing. He played a lot of linebacker for us, and he didn't get the ball too much last year. But this year, I think he's going to get the ball a little bit more with Alex Swoop and Sawyer Payne, and then he's got a brother that just fits the mold as a highly recruitable young man at linebacker, Kamari Copeland. He's only going to be a junior, and he plays like he's a senior. So we go down the list. I mean, you got Damien. You already brought up Damien. Damien is probably, if he's our quarterback, he's probably our best receiver also. I mean, he's a very talented young man. And we do have that option because we have a quarterback that works along with him, Will Parks, who's been doing a good job too. So actually last night in the scrimmage, Will and Damien hooked up for a touchdown pass, which is kind of interesting because I didn't even put Damien in at receiver. I think he just put himself in. And then we've got our tight end that sat out a little bit last year with an illness and ended up losing the position. Blake Barnes, who plays tight end for us and defensive end, he had a pretty good night last night. And I'm expecting big things this year. Carson Ashby had quite a few catches last night and, plays both offense and defense. He plays in the defensive backfield. Lane Wilder is another defensive end guy for us that coming back. He had a lot of accolades at the end of last year because of he's a Charlie Hustle kind of guy. He just runs and gets to the ball, does all those things. We got big guys up front returning: Chris Churko, Kieran Copenhaver, Brandon Pearl. These are big guys that are coming back to our offensive line. I think our concern was going in was really like in the receiver position. And, we've got Lincoln Guy, who is a guy, he's probably going to spend more time as one of those corners for us. Danny Markland is a corner. We found some people that are going to fill in the spots that we were kind of missing, from last year. So I think we're looking forward to a pretty good year.
Talking with Chris DeWitt, head football coach of the Kellum Knights here on ESPN Radio 94.1. It's High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com. And the Knights open up the season August the 29th, Ed, at First Colonial.
Hey, Chris, listen to you talk. Sounds like you got some playmakers. You're going to make me excited because you're probably going to be one of those coaches, especially from the beach. My love for you beach coaches is that when you run fourth down, inches to go, you run the flea flicker, end around, wide receiver option where he throws it. So I got a feeling that Chris DeWitt's going to put one of those in this year.
You never know. That's not always my decision. The joke at the luncheon the other day was, we have all this ability to throw the ball around with the quarterbacks and the receivers. But if it's fourth and inches, I got a feeling we're just going to try to use our big guys up front, and we're going to just get the first down and go on from there. I don't know. I think you've got to have surprise plays, but it's not really what I think. I don't think surprise plays wins football games. I think you've got to go out and you've got to be a better team, and you've got to be able to run the football.
Well, that's why we keep Ed coaching basketball, Chris, because he tries to get this to Stack and John White and Hank Sawyer and everybody else that comes on the show. He tries to get them to run these flea flickers. He told it to Danny Dodson a few weeks ago. He wants to run end around and all these crazy plays. That's why we keep him in the basketball cages.
Oh, I get it. I get it. I mean, I guess it's when I used to be the young guy 20 years ago. Now I'm the old guy, so I guess they're calling me old school. And I think I was old school when I was a young guy. You know, I just believe that you win ball games by running the football. You know,
Coach, and I got nothing against your philosophy because you know way more football than I can ever possibly think I know. But I'm telling you, put that flea flicker in. Use it against Stack. He'll never know it's coming. And or even John. Use it against John because John played for you, so he knows you're not going to do that. I'm telling you, it's going to win you a game. All the other stuff's going to get you right to that point.
Hold
and
on, if he loses the game because of it, what are you going to suffer some kind of penalty?
Well, then you got kids that didn't execute.
Oh, come on.
you know, Stack will run a flea flicker every year again.
Because I told him years ago to do it. He said, "Nah, you're crazy. Stick to basketball." Then somehow one of his coordinators put it in. They won, and he said, "Coach, you know, it worked." I said, and I'm not going to say I told you so. I'm just telling you, football guys got to loosen up a little bit, just a little bit, and forget all that film work and throw something crazy in here because nobody will ever see it coming.
Yeah, I've gotten burned with it a couple times, but you know, I think you have to put something in to keep it enjoyable. And you know, we actually are pretty successful when we run that against our starting defense. We sometimes catch them because they don't even expect us to run it. You know, so it may be. And when we come up with a name, I think we're going to call it the Ed Young. That's what we're going to do.
Young around. Here you go. Young flicker. The young flicker.
Pitch back pass. That's what we're going to call it.
And like I said, when it doesn't work, well, doggone it, we got kids that didn't execute, and we got to get back into practice.
Okay, yeah. We got to get back to doing what's going to help us win a game and not just some of that crazy one play.
There you go. And, Coach, you know, please understand, I'm having fun with you because
I love it.
Your consistency is right. You do what's consistent for you and what the type of team you have and what works. You use your linemen. But I do say sometimes even in basketball, we'll do something a little crazy because when you don't expect it, that's when it kind of works. But you can't live with it because, you know, the right coaches are going to obviously be ready for it. And then it's hard to execute every time that well. But every once in a while, you never know.
Right. I mean, I get it. I think just us throwing the football sometimes surprises people. So
That's true, too. Because you guys are so well known for your ground game.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and with a weapon like Damien, you might actually do a little more of that, I would think, this year, surprisingly, and people not realize it because he's such a good talent. A couple more minutes here with Chris DeWitt, head football coach of the Kellum Knights, with us on ESPN Radio 94.1. Anybody from your scrimmage last night? We sort of highlighted some of the main guys, Coach, with the Copelands and Damien and Carson Ashby and Sawyer Payne, Blake Barnes, and so on and so forth. Anybody kind of, you as the coaching staff said, we look better than we thought at this position, or maybe this guy or two kind of stepped up for us that we didn't expect to have the night they had?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of went into yesterday trying to answer some questions. And I mean, I don't think when I run through all the names of the people coming back, you know, we have a few of those guys they're coming back, but they were actually JV guys last year. But, you know, we still need to get to know them, just like we need to make sure they know what's expected of them. We saw Kamani Muhammad, Johnny Marcel, Aiden Feldman, Danny Love, William Rodriguez is a transfer in. See, the rest of these guys have all been at Kellum, and they just showed us a little bit of something last night. Isaiah Lindsey is a sophomore, came up. He had a really nice run. He played a lot of linebacker for us last night. I mean, that's kind of what you're doing, especially your first scrimmage. You're just trying to answer some questions, you know. I had a question as to whether we could tackle. And then I also had some questions as to how good we were going to be in certain spots and how much depth do we have. And a lot of those questions filled in pretty well last night for us.
And lastly, we appreciate the time this morning. I'm sure we'll be following up here as we get towards the season and get going here. Tell me about the beach. I mean, the beach every year has got a number of different teams now with some of the realignment shakeups. A lot of schools go down to Division 5 with your Bayside, your Cox's, your First Colonial. You guys are still in Division 6, I believe it is. So kind of handicap for me what you see out of the beach this year. Ocean Lake's coming off a 10-0 season, but there could be 4, 5, 6 different teams that could have 8+ wins, I would think, this year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think I worry about everybody. I mean, everybody scares me a little bit. And I know that there are plenty of teams with some really good football players. So, we're going to have to be ready every week. I don't know exactly where we're going to end up. I'm hoping that we can get as many wins as we can, but I know there's some good teams that we're going to face week in and week out this year.
Well, you're going to have a good time when you go out to Kellam High School for a football game. Their home opener September 6th against Ocean Lakes, the reigning undefeated team in the beach that made the state semis. But their first game of the year is August the 29th at First Colonial. Coach, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your summer, and I'm sure I'll run into you soon, all right?
All right. Appreciate it, Matt. Thanks, Ed.
Good luck to you, Chris.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Chris DeWitt, head football coach of Kellam, with us here this morning on ESPN Radio 94.1. It's High School Sports Talk, brought to you by VirginiaPreps.com. We come back. We got DJ Alexander of the Booker T. Washington Bookers in Norfolk. He'll join us to talk about BTW right here on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Now back to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1. Presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Here's Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Thanks for spending your August Saturday morning with us here on ESPN Radio 94.1 on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com with the Coach Ed Young. I am Matt Hatfield, and we now welcome in the head football coach of the Booker T. Washington Bookers in Norfolk, where he has been at the helm since 2015, so gearing up for his fifth year on the job. We say good morning to Coach Darvin DJ Alexander. Coach, how's the summer treating you and the Bookers?
Everything's going well, Matt. Thanks for having me on this morning.
Our pleasure. And before we dive deep into your squad this year with one of the most explosive players around and in the whole state, and Rodney Hammond sparking your offense, also got your quarterback back, I do believe, as well. Let's get the update on your son. Jalen Alexander played at Western Branch High in Chesapeake, now in College Park, playing for the Maryland Terps in the Big Ten. How's he progressing up there?
He's progressing pretty well. Right now, he's just trying to crack the defensive tackle lineup. They have a lot of veteran defensive tackles up there, so he just focuses on trying to just get into the four-man rotation on that D line.
Good to hear. Now, let's talk about the summer for you and your squad. What'd you guys do and to get ready for your scrimmages here in the season that's on tap? Go to any 7-on-7, any camps? Give me the update on how the Bookers took the summer in.
We pretty much been just working out 3 days a week. We also did some passing league with Princess Anne a few times, with Tallwood once. We went to the NSU passing league on their campus as well. Other than that, we just pretty much trying to just focus on just getting bigger, faster, and stronger in the weight room. We had to install a new offense and defense this year. So that's pretty much just focus on getting bigger, faster, and stronger, and just gearing up for the upcoming season.
Coach Ed Young here. As you're putting the squad together, I'm always interested in those youngsters that impress the coach. At first, you didn't think about it, and this kid's, you're now saying, hey, this kid we have to watch. This kid might be able to be a little bit more valuable. Who's that youngster or two for you guys right now at this point?
We have three returning starters on defense who are actually going into their junior year, who started for me as freshmen, all three of them, and I'll talk more about those three later. But as far as someone who's young now, we have Jerome Jones, who started for me at defensive end last year as a freshman. This year, he should be helping Rodney in the backfield, and he also will be starting again at defensive end. He's about 6'1", 200 pounds right now, very talented. So we're looking for him to help Rodney in the backfield more this year.
And you mentioned Rodney Hammond. He's certainly one of the most talented players around, class of 2021, so he will be a junior. But last year, 190 carries for 1,426 yards, 8 touchdowns, also had 11 catches for 184 yards and a score. And a lot of great players have come through Booker T, Coach, even the greatest sack guy ever in Bruce Smith, and I'm not trying to put him in that pedestal yet. However, he's got a chance if he continues to do what he's been doing to break some records and be one of the best to come out of the area. What makes him so special?
His competitiveness, his intelligence. He's an old school football player. He's someone who eats, sleep, and breathes football. He always talking about football. He takes the football home every day to carry it around, sleep with the football. He constantly wants to get better. This year, he's coming in at 185 pounds. He put on 10 pounds in the off season. He's squatting over 400 pounds now, and he's bench pressing close to 300 now. So he's just somebody who constantly wants to get better. He's doing what he's supposed to do in the classroom as well. So we're just looking forward to his junior year.
And your quarterback, is it Larry Parker Jr.? Is he back for this year?
Yes, he is. Larry Parker, he's back for his senior year. He's going to his third year starting. He had a very good junior campaign. He's coming off a minor injury right now, so we hope to have him back for the first game. If not, he should be back for the second game.
Coach, how about the recruiting looks for both Parker and Hammond?
Rodney, he has about 15 offers right now. UNC, Virginia Tech, UVA, Michigan, Oklahoma, TCU, Maryland, NC State, just to name a few of them, Duke. So he has a lot of options at this moment. Larry Parker Jr., he getting a lot of interest from Fordham, University in New York, Coastal Carolina, Howard. He just picked up a few offers from Hastings College in Nebraska, Bates College in Maine, and Virginia University of Lynchburg. So we just trying to get his senior year campaign off the ground. So hopefully he can get more options in addition to what he already have.
DJ Alexander, our guest here on ESPN Radio 94.1, the head football coach of the Mighty Bookers of Booker T. Washington High School in Norfolk, as they gear up for their season opener August the 29th. And you go up to John Champ, is that correct?
Yes, sir. We go up there to Northern Virginia. It's a very tough John Champ team. They one of the powerhouse teams up there in Northern Virginia, Division VI. So we're going to find out game one. We want to get back to the playoffs this year and make a run in the postseason. So we want to see exactly where we stand at the beginning of the football season against John Champ.
Well, we'll get to the rest of your offensive and defensive cast members here in a second, Coach. But I want to hit on that because I've seen you guys the last couple of years, and I've liked what I've watched out of you guys making the playoffs the last 2 years after the 1-9 struggle in 2016. So you guys are headed in the right direction as your win total has climbed each of the last 3 years. And you've played Broad Run, who's been a real heavyweight, a state contender up there in Ashburn. You've played them home and road, and you played John Champ, who once upon a time was a Class 3 school, but now their enrollment has grown to Class 6 under Coach Jason Dawson. Now, what do those games do for you? I mean, you see a lot of talent and athleticism here in the 757. It's argued to be the best in the state. But when you play someone like that out of your element a little bit, what's it do for your guys on your journey to the postseason?
It just pretty much let you know exactly where you're at. Sometimes a lot of teams have a lot of preseason hype around them, and they think they're better than what they are. Sometimes they may not think they are as good as they actually are. So to go against that type of opponent first game, you're just going to pretty much find out exactly where you're at right now. Offensive, defensively, special teams, who can keep their composure, who can face adversity, which one of your players are actual leaders. Because when you go up in Northern Virginia into a hostile environment, you're going to find out who are your actual leaders on your team, which players have the ability to make plays. So you can pretty much build your offense defense around those guys for the rest of the year. And also it just gives you a playoff experience. So hopefully going into the end of the season, you're pretty much battle tested.
Coach, I know we talked about your kids like Parker and Hammonds, the well-knowns. Let's go to some of your other guys. Highlight some of your top guys on offense, and then if you would, please flip them over to the defensive side.
On offense, we have 5 returning starters. Last year, we actually started 2 freshmen at offensive tackle. So both of those guys are coming back for their sophomore year. That's Nevin Good and also Keith Anderson. We also have the big fella, Jonathan Willard, going into his senior year. Jonathan, he anchored the offensive line last year. Right now he has Virginia State University, Delaware State University, to name a few that offer him a scholarship at this moment. He's 6'4", 335 pounds. So we are returning 3 starters on the offensive line. We have a lot of talented wide receivers, but we just trying to figure out now who's going to be more consistent and who has the ability to be consistent in a real game. Kelvin Goodwin is he's a senior. Vontae Mitchell, he'll be at the fullback position. Jerome Jones, who I mentioned earlier, will be helping Rodney in the backfield. And we have a couple other skill guys that we're looking forward to helping out the program as well.
And then defensively, Coach, as we look at those guys, kind of highlight them for me, the linebackers, and the secondary, if you could.
Yes, we have 6 returning starters on defense. Vontae Mitchell, he's returning for his 3rd year in the middle linebacker. He actually started for me on my JV program as an 8th grader. So he's going to his 3rd year starting on varsity. And we also have Rodney Hammond returning at the safety position, who also started for 3 years now. He started as a freshman, too, on defense. So he's going to his 3rd year of starting on defense as well. Then we have Tim White, who started for me as a freshman as well 3 years ago, and now he's going to his 3rd year starting at the cornerback position. So we look for those 3 guys to anchor the defense, along with Jerome Jones at defensive end.
You have one of the most explosive backfields around there with Parker and Hammond, watching what they've done. And then you mentioned some of these guys that have been 3-year players in the program, Wheeler and White and some others that have been around. And granted, the Eastern District, you've watched it from even your days when you were over at Lake Taylor and now at Booker T. You've seen how it's progressed here recently in the last few years and how it's improved in total. I mean, but Lake Taylor's been in a state championship game. Morgan's been in a state semifinals. We've seen Norview in a state semis as recent as a few years ago, and Norcom was a play away last year. Do you feel like you guys are, and do you like flying under the radar to an extent?
The thing about it, if you want to be in the spotlight, you have to win. And those 4 teams that you just mentioned, they were able to finish what we couldn't finish. So I don't think we fly underneath the radar. I just think that we have to prove ourselves to not only ourselves, but we have to finish. If we want to be compared to a Lake Taylor program, we have to end up in the state semis or win a couple of state championships like Lake Taylor, or win a region like Moore, or at least get to a region like Norview and Norcom. So I don't think we fly underneath the radar. I think that the community, the football world, got us. They describe us based on what we are. We're a team that's in the middle of the pack who's trying to get over their hump.
And Coach, what would it take? What's that key for that next step to get over that hump in terms of on the field?
I would say just finish in the 4th quarter. We have to start off the season fast. All 4 years I've been here, we actually lost the first game of the season. So my main focus now is just to go 1-0 that first game, because once you go 1-0, that kind of can give you a better chance, or at least a home field advantage in the playoffs, and that can help you in the long run as far as trying to reach the region or reach the state tournament. So we just try to start off the first game 1-0, and hopefully that can catapult us into our district play.
I also looked at, like in basketball, winning that first game kind of gives credence to all that preseason work. You know, especially you guys being out in the sun, rain, whatever. You get that first win, it makes those kids feel, okay, all this was worth it. You lose that opening game, the kids are like, dang, we did all this work and we lost. You know, kind of a little self-doubt comes in.
Absolutely. You hit the nail right on the head. Again, that first game is a confidence booster. It just pretty much sets the tone for the rest of the season. So hopefully we can go up there and play tough and consistent for 4 quarters and come back home with a victory.
Well, Coach, we'll be watching this coming year. Best wishes. One last thing, your next scrimmage, who do you have coming up on the scrimmage slate before your opener on August 29th?
We travel over to Princess Anne on Thursday at 6 p.m. They have a very good team over there. Coach Yeager is doing a wonderful job. We actually did 7-on-7 with them twice, so we've been acclimated with them and building a team bond with Princess Anne over the summer. So we're just looking to go over there and just one last dress rehearsal before the regular season starts.
I might take that one in. A nice chance to see two of the very best in Rodney Hammond and Tony Grimes and some other talents for both the Cavaliers and the Bookers coming up this week. And, Coach, wish you all the best this coming year at Booker T. Washington. I'm sure we'll be in touch, all right?
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Coach Young. I look forward to speaking to you soon.
All right, good luck to you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
DJ Alexander, our guest this morning here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. As their program at, it's very interesting as they're trying to take that next step, knocking on the door. They're close. They've been building from 1 win to 4 win to 6 wins. It's hard to predict an 8-9 win in that district with Lake, Taylor, Maury, Norcom, but they're a team that, even if they don't get to that plateau, they could put a scare into one of those heavyweights.
And he's got some young talent. Hammond is as good as they come ever. So, excuse me, I think they get that one key win, get a key win from somewhere where you're not expected to do it, then that could take them over the top.
You just gave us another hotkey with that hiccup. We have a couple. Do we have a couple of those hotkeys still there, Alex? I'm not sure we do. With
boy.
Yeah, we got to put that hiccup. That was you when you did that. Oh boy, we got another one, don't we? Is that the only one?
I used to know this.
You used to know that.
Dang. How did I used to know that?
You're. I don't know what you used to know. That's a good question. That should be our pool question.
When you start forgetting what you used to know, then you start to wonder, did you really used to know?
Did you know? Da-na-na. We'll take a timeout. Give us a call at 757-687-9494 on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. We'll talk high school football with you. Hit us up on Twitter, too, at HS Sports Talk 941 on what Ed Young knows is his favorite radio station.
This one I will never forget, ESPN Radio 94.1.
Recapping another busy week of prep sports, it's High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1.
And welcome back to High School Sports Talk here on ESPN Radio 94.1. I'm the coach, Ed Young. Basketball is my specialty, and you usually find me on the sidelines at Nansemond River High School. My partner, Matt Hatfield, all kind of specialties. One of the big things he does well is interviewing a lot of the coaches in the different sports. And, of course, with football season upon us, Matt was at a scrimmage on Thursday, and he spoke with the head coach of the Kings Fork Bulldogs, Kermit Buggs. Let's listen to what he had to say here on ESPN Radio 94.1.
All right, here with Kings Fork new head football coach Kermit Buggs. His team just concluded a preseason scrimmage in Virginia Beach against the Tallwood Lions. The Bulldogs in Class 4, the Lions in Class 6 has both aimed to return to the postseason. And, Coach, you stepping back into the high school ranks now for the games taking place. What did you find out about your team tonight?
The guys fought hard. We haven't got a lot of work in. This was only our third day being able to be in pads because of the rain and the lightning situation. So I was real excited about it. We missed some tackles, but we did some good things. So the strength of this team is probably going to be the defense, and I was happy with how they played today. This is a young team. We got a lot of sophomores playing, a lot of plays for us. So I was happy how they competed, and we just go back to the drawing board and go from there.
One of the things that was really, it raised my eyes up, but that was good to see was when your guys came off, you encouraged the guys to first unit to encourage the second unit and vice versa, just kind of building that camaraderie with them and chemistry?
It's got to be a family thing. It's so much negativity. You give up a bad play, all right, nobody needs to hear a negative comment when you come off, so get them back. Let's get them back in and honed in and zoned in, and let's get ready to go. So that's what we're trying to do, just trying to get these young men to understand and encourage each other.
Many high school teams, whether it be here or other parts of the state, are having a battle for quarterback spot. Tell me what you saw from your QB position tonight.
I think both kids did an excellent job. I was proud of both of them. We got some things to work on, but, they're going to keep going.
Those two guys are?
Cam Butler and Leonte Johnson. Leonte Johnson's our starter right now. Cam is our second team. Cam is just a true freshman, and Leonte's the senior, so that, we're going to work it out, and hopefully, we'll keep doing successful things.
Well, you've been known to throw the football with your days in Surrey. I'll tell you what, two guys physically stand out when you look out here tonight. Bravion Campbell's one of them, and then your left tackle, Devon Orr, he's another. Both guys, what did you find out from them as they're both two young guys with a lot of talent?
Well, Davon's a senior.
Actually,
yeah. Yep, so he did a good job for us tonight. Bray is a man. I mean, he's a Division I football player right now. And what he could do for us, he's going to be a major part of our offense. So we got to keep him going and let everything go rally around him. But he's a man. He's a real.
You looking at both guys playing just one side of the ball, or could both save?
We're going to both keep them on offense right now. We're going to try to two-platoon as much as we can. The reason why I like doing that is you keep more kids interested in your program.
Mm-hmm.
You got guys going both ways. We can't make adjustments. We can't do things to get, but also kids lose interest because nobody else is playing. So we're going to develop every kid that's on our squad that they can give and support, and then be able to commit to actually give us some more work on our team.
You had a couple of explosive moments through the air tonight, and your defense did rally well to the ball at times. What was kind of the biggest plus or surprise for you tonight that you kind of said, oh, I didn't see that coming?
Biggest thing, we tackled better than I thought we would, not only having pads on for 2 days. I thought we would miss a lot more tackles than we did. We were able to call some fumbles out here. So I was proud of with that. So that was the biggest thing. I was good to see.
Last two for you. What's your right now area you got to clean up or concern? Certainly you'll watch the film and reevaluate and evaluate all the positions and things that did right, didn't do well. What do you kind of look at right now and say we got to sharpen this up?
I thought we were running the ball a little bit better than we did today. But today again, this is the first day we've seen a 3-4 defense. So we've been working against ourselves mostly. So I thought the kids at least competed. We got to stay on blocks a little bit longer, sustain our blocks and stay on them. So that's the thing I got to work on the most.
Well, and like most coaches, you don't show your hand in every scrimmage here. What are you looking for at a scrimmage 2 before your opener? What do you want to see?
The biggest thing, I got to get the tempo going. I think we were a little too slow today. All right, so we got to speed the tempo up a little bit more, and then you just got to stay consistent.
Fun, fast, and ferocious. The Bulldogs are ready for 2019. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There you have it. Kermit Buggs, the new head coach at the Kings Fork Bulldogs, talking with my partner, Matt Hatfield. And right after that, he got a chance to speak with the Tallwood head football coach, John Kemple. Let's see what John had to say here on ESPN Radio 94.1. All
right, I'm here with Tallwood head football coach John Kemple after his team's preseason scrimmage against Kings Fork. A couple of teams that aim to get back to the postseason, the Lions in Class 6, the Bulldogs in Class 4. Coach, what did you find out about your team tonight?
We've got some grit. We've got some guys that'll come out and play. We've had a lot of guys going both ways. We had a couple guys go out, so we got a lot of young guys in. Real excited about some young. That last drive we had there, that last series on defense. I think the front guys were all freshmen.
Wow. And one guy that we remember coming back from last year, graduated a bunch of 3-year, 4-year players that have gone on to college. Gunnar White, your running back, wearing number 1. He hasn't changed much in terms of he was hard to tackle last year, and he's probably even better this year.
Yeah, he's done a great job. He's he lives in the weight room. He works hard outside of what we do. And he's just very dedicated and studies. I mean, he studies film. We go through things and we talk about our run game, what he's reading, where he's cutting blocks and things like that. He just gets it, and he does a great job.
I know being around your program a lot, you guys speak about team unity and offense, defense, special teams, all 3 phases. But has he and the offensive line, even you guys as coaches, kind of put a challenge for him? Like maybe he could be a rushing record type of guy if you all gel together? Or?
Yeah, we haven't necessarily discussed that.
Okay.
Him and I have talked about that personally, and I know that was, last year coming into the season, he had personal goals, and we set those, and we've talked about those kind of things. I know personally he's got that, but he's a great team leader, so the team comes before all his personal goals.
Sure. Before we touch on some other positions, the quarterback position is always a key spot in football, whether it's pro, college, high school. You graduated a good one in Sabian Stone. Tell me how the quarterback battle is looking for you right now.
Right now tonight, Carlos played the whole thing tonight.
That's Lamoso, is that thing?
Yeah, Lamoso. He did a great job. Sophomore coming in, ran the whole offense, understood, of course, he got some sophomore mistakes tonight, and that we were able to pull them off and discuss those. Threw the ball well, did some things really well, understanding what we're doing offensively.
Was there a pleasant surprise for you, be it an area, a position for you that you came out like, ooh, we're a little bit better than I thought at this area, this spot?
I thought defensively, I thought our D-line and our linebackers played exceptionally well. I thought we had done, of course, when we practice against a guy like Gunnar or DK McClellan at running back all the time, sometimes you look at some of the guys and we're like, oh, we need to be better, and then we line up and we've got running backs like that. It makes you realize how good our linebackers and D-line are.
DeMarco Manila seems like he's going to be a spotlight guy for you on defense. Obviously, Kareem Abdullah graduated, Ricky Harleston, some guys that were all district, all region level players. Is he someone that's now taking on that vocal leadership too? Or?
Definitely, yeah. He's going to be a 4-year starter for us. He's hard hitting. He moves his hips well. He gets under and just really controls the defense. I mean, he's demanding of what his defense is going to do, and he's calling out calls with authority. He's not holding back on those.
Last two for you, thank you for your time. What did you see from your opponent, Kings Fork? You won't see them again because they're not in your district, they're not in your division for the playoffs, but Kermit Buggs, you know him from Old Dominion, being an assistant coach there. What did you find out about his team? He's got a couple of big, impressive-looking kids.
Yeah, they were real impressive. I thought they threw the ball well. They had some big guys out there. They run the ball well at times, too. I thought they did a good job. I think they're a very classy team. I'm really impressed with the way their players handle themselves, the way they come out and they work hard. They're going to be dangerous. They're going to be really good, I think.
Then lastly, what are you looking for your squad in the next scrimmage before your opener? I believe it's here against Green Run, is it, your season opener?
Yes, it is. We just got to step up and go to that next level. We're at that point where I felt like that, we made some strides. We've got some film now. We're going to go look at it and see where we need to make adjustments and look at some of those young guys, see where they can help out and do some things, and go from there.
Well, the rain held off just enough. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
All right, thanks.
So that was John Keppel, head football coach of the Tallwood Lions, here with us on High School Sports Talk, brought to you by VirginiaPreps.com. After his team's preseason scrimmage on Thursday night against the Kings Fork Bulldogs, we'll give you some reaction to that and take your calls. Got a couple more minutes to hop in here at 757-687-9494 before we close up shop on this Saturday, the 17th day of August, with Coach Ed Young and Alex Brooks on the other side of the glass. I am Matt Hatfield. Don't you dare touch that dial. It's your sports connection, ESPN Radio 94.1.
This is High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Final couple minutes here with the Coach Ed Young. I'm Matt Hatfield. We thank Alex Brooks on the other side of the glass and all the guests, including Booker T. Washington coach DJ Alexander, Kellum football coach Chris DeWitt. Who else did we have on Ed today? We had
some guys
Robert Jackson Norcom and all the playback clips. Anything on your mind before we sign off on this?
I'm just wondering why we're getting through this show on this out of here.
ESPN Radio's.
Boom. With that.
And you make no mention of your Cardinals losing to my Raiders.
We don't even mention it. It's preseason. They're terrible. Okay. I told you Kyler Murray's going to need like a stool to see over the line.
That's kind of neat when I interviewed him and they said, hey, you were 5 years old when Larry Fitzgerald joined the Cardinals. He said, yeah, it's kind of weird.
If you're a Raiders fan, you'd be ready for an adventure, sir. Thanks to Alex, all the listeners and callers out there. We'll have the High School Sports Talk Plus video show up on VirginiaPreps.com later this week, as well as their archive of this episode. We'll do it again next Saturday, August 24th, right here on your home for sports, pro, college, and high school. We have it all for you right here on ESPN Radio 94.1.